PTBOCanada Live with Mike Judson. This is the mystery podcast episode. Ooh, actually shot before any other of the podcasts was shot.
I feel like a guinea pig today.
You are a guinea pig. All right, so joining me right now, if you don't know him, he's known online on Twitter as Dr. Patchbeard, and he's known to me originally as Ken the Intern, and then as Ken Elrick II.
I gradually worked my way up.
Well, no, it was just that's how we met. It was like I didn't know your last name, and I'd be talking about you at home. My wife would be like, "Who? Like Ken the Intern." And then you turn into Ken the Intern with my friend Jamie. You'd be like, "Where's Ken the Intern?" And it just kind of stuck. And then now it's gone. It's gone. You're now Ken Elrick II because you're no longer an intern, right?
No, I haven't been for quite some time, although I do have fond memories of internships.
Do you remember when we met?
I remember, I remember you came in and you told some jokes and said some semi-offensive things, and I was like, this guy knows what I'm all about.
So that was at Bob FM in Lindsay when I moved from Calgary to Peterborough. It's a fun story because I was supposed to work at Chex TV, and then they strung me along for 3 months and gave my job to Greg Davis, and then Greg started reporting there. And I secretly hated Greg for a long time. Well, not really. Maybe about a month or two.
Does he know that?
No, I don't. Well, he might know this now.
Now he's going to find out.
But don't worry, Greg. Like, seriously, no hard feelings. It was just I was bitter, and it was misdirected. Absolutely was misdirected. And then I took about a couple days to wallow in despair and went out and started applying for jobs. Got a gig working part-time at Bob FM, and that's where I saw you. And you were interning from what school?
Niagara College.
Niagara College.
Yes.
What's that like over there?
I'm sure it's a lot different now than when I was there, because actually when I left, they were in the middle of a big construction project. So it was something like $50 million upgrades or something like that, like crazy. All I know is that it blocked off my favorite parking lot, and I had to walk an extra 10 minutes every day because of it. But no, it was really good. They've got a very well respected broadcasting program there. In fact, I believe when I was applying, there was some quote on the website from a CTV news director or something who said that when it comes to hiring people out of college, they choose Niagara College above any other college.
And you were sold.
Well, yeah, I was like, I want to work for, well, maybe not CTV one day, but I'd like to work somewhere that broadcasts something.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, like these days, as you can see, you can broadcast from your office, right? It's broadcasting has taken so many twists and turns, but for you, what was it that drew you into radio and into broadcasting in the field? It's
kind of weird because originally my thought process was I'm going to go there and I'm going to learn to make movies, and then I'm going to become a big director or something like that, or even an actor or something. Like
so it was film that drew you there.
It's a common program for the first year anyway for film, TV, and radio. And in the process of going through film classes and learning what that's all about, I discovered that I didn't have the patience for film because it was like you set up for 3 hours for a 30-second shot, then you tear it all down, do it up again. And what I like about radio is that it's all very immediate. You write what you're going to say or don't even write it, just turn on the mic and say it, and then it's done. And I mean, it can be kind of scary doing that sometimes, but usually... as long as you manage to not put your foot in your mouth, it's pretty, quick, in, out, you're done. And I think the immediacy of it is what kind of drew me away from film anyway, and into radio.
It's a cool medium, and it was always weird for me when I was in radio, just the thought that, you press this button and one mistake and there's like thousands of people listening at one time. It was always terrifying for me.
Yeah. I found out actually very early in my schooling how easily something like that can happen too, because most radio guys, as you know, are just they're solo in the room in the studio by themselves and they run the board themselves. Yeah. When we first started to try and keep the stress level down, they started us where one person would run the board, the other would do the talking. And that kind of stuff. And so I was running the board one day, and my classmate got into a talk bit. I think he was talking about hockey, local hockey or something like that. I don't even remember. But in the middle of it, he got his words mixed up and just started kind of saying gibberish. And then he looked at me through the window, gave me the panicked look, like, okay, hit the commercial. We're not doing this. So I hit the commercial, but I forgot to bring his mic down right away. So he's upset with himself, and he starts cursing. And I managed to, turn it off before he dropped an F-bomb.
What did he drop? Did he drop anything significant?
It's just like, oh, damn it. And I was like, oh, no. And then I caught it just in time, apparently.
Oh, and that's also like one of my scariest things. And people who work with me tell me all the time, it's like, Mike, the golden rule is when you're around a microphone, you have to be a choir boy. You have to be a saint. You have to, like, gosh darn gee willikers. I can't do it. And I'm flirting with disaster. One of these days, I'm going to go down in a fiery ball of cursing flame.
That was definitely something that was pounded into me in school. Is like there are cameras and microphones everywhere. Mm-hmm. At least when you're in a studio or something, you always have to be on your best behavior. I'm guilty of that too, though.
Yeah, but Welland, is it Welland where Niagara College is?
One of the campuses there. There is one in St. Catharines, Niagara-on-the-Lake area as well, and there's a smaller one right inside Niagara Falls, which teaches like hairdressing and stuff.
Where were you?
I was in Welland.
What is Welland like? Because I have this imagery of Welland. I've never been there, but I met this guy when I was working in telesales. I used to be a telemarketer. I'd call for the Toronto Star and like sell newspapers. I was a degenerate. I was like 19 years old, just fresh out of high school, no idea what I was doing. And I met this guy who was working there, and it turned out he was like this drug dealer, and it was this awful situation because he invited me over beer during lunch. Lived right by where we were working. And I show up, and he's a drug dealer, and his girlfriend's there, and she's a stripper. And she's like walking around in stripper clothes, and I'm sitting there in like a button-up shirt, like just done telesales. I'm like, oh my god! But just this guy and the way he was, kind of because he was from Welland, it reflected to Welland. I picture it like being very flat and very like lots of like wartime small houses and just a lot of drugs. Is it like that at all?
I don't know necessarily about the drug supplies.
Yeah.
But I do know that there were a fair amount of people that I went to school with who seemed to be high all the time. So, I mean, they must be all right. As for the housing, there is a lot of, I'd say, yeah, a decent amount of wartime houses. A lot of student housing, because Niagara College is probably just about the biggest thing in Welland anymore since the John Deere plant closed down. Oh. It's kind of like one of those, and I hope Wellanders, if any of them see this, don't think bad of me for saying this, but it's just kind of a down on its luck old factory town kind of.
Yeah, and I mean, not that Peterborough's anything like that, but Peterborough, I'm sure, has like some similarities. We've had some places close around town, and but it seems like at least our city is really starting to pull itself up. And we had the unemployment thing for a while, but I don't know. I would say maybe, or maybe you would say Peterborough and Welland. Maybe Peterborough's got an upper hand.
Yeah, well, I mean, I certainly like it more here. That's for sure. And maybe I'm a little biased having grown up here, but I also did spend a good portion of my childhood living in Niagara Falls, just down the road.
Oh, okay. But you didn't grow up in Peterborough. You were just outside the country, right?
Well, yeah, not right in the city.
Right.
But I went to high school in Peterborough, and but no, I was grown, if you will, on a farm.
Where was the farm?
South Monaghan Township. It's my stepmom's family farm, and so I think it's been in the family since the 30s. Her dad bought it in the 30s.
Is it like a dead farm, or is there like their livestock, animals, grain?
Used to be. There was an active farm until just a couple of years ago. They had a herd of cattle, and actually, my stepmom's brother-in-law, he and my dad basically ran the farm together, and they kind of had equal shares in it. And they bought the brother-in-law out, and then just a couple of years ago, my parents, they both work other jobs as well. My stepmom works as a food and beverage manager at Baxter Creek Golf Club,
yeah.
And my dad is a mechanic. He's self-employed.
But I'm picturing you right now, like 10 years old, full beard, and like just big greasy beard, 10 years old, waking up 5 a.m, and like milking the cows and like shoveling shit. Like, did you used to do that?
No, not exactly. We didn't have milking cows. We had beef cows.
Ooh.
So,
Okay, so
no, I would get up in the morning and go carve a steak off and throw it on
just
the grill.
like right off the live cow. And
yeah, ride the rest home.
Have you seen those cows that have the portholes in them? You have to look this up online. Look up cow porthole. So I don't know. It's disgusting what they've done to cows. It's awful. They are officially no longer like living beings anymore. They are now just like processed already. So essentially, it's a porthole where you can reach into the side of a cow, like right into the side of it, and pull out what's in its stomach. And they do this to like check like what kind of grass and grains. They do this out there, I swear.
So wait, these cows are engineered to have portholes, or
No,
they're cut in them?
I think they cut them in them.
Oh, jeez.
They cut like a porthole, like a plastic thing. You like reach in and you pull out its half digested grass and food. It's insane.
I couldn't imagine that. Mind you, my dad. They would breed the cows, and every now and then you'd have a cow that would have trouble getting its calf out when it came birthing time. So my dad many times has been up to his shoulder in a cow trying to pull out the calf, and usually they'll get chains and attach them around the hooves, and he would have a hockey stick that he'd use for leverage and just like pull back, and then sometimes the calf would come flying out and he'd go flying.
That was just like my son's birth.
Actually?
Yeah, hockey stick, chains, the whole thing. It was amazing. No, so you actually saw that. You saw your dad do that.
A couple of times. It wasn't something I was ever really that interested in. So it was like I would only watch if I happened to be there and he's like, we got to do this, otherwise it's not something I would seek out.
So like you see like the calf get born and then like the like cow effluents falling all over the place.
Yeah.
So do you guys eat the cow placenta as well? I hear it's very rich in nutrient.
I never have.
No.
And I don't know that my parents have. I feel like they probably would have told me about it if they were like, this is what's for dinner tonight.
You know those hamburgers that we served you last night? Yeah, they're really rich in nutrients. You know, there are a lot of sickos asking me if I was going to do that with our placenta.
I hear that like you said, it's very rich in nutrients, and I want to say I've probably seen photos of the process of someone doing it, thanks to Reddit. Need some mind bleach for that, but no.
Reddit is probably the worst/best. It's basically the internet. Like
it is the internet concentrated.
Any thought that you have in your head, whether it's good, pleasant, any questions that you have that are evil or awful, everything is there. Like anything that you like, it just proves to you that there's really nothing original out there.
Yeah, pretty much. I was gonna try and come up with an original thought, but everything that was coming to mind in that split second there was just no. I've already said this.
I'm reading our conversation on Reddit right now.
There's a script. Am I following it? Okay.
You're right on the line. But so you were born, raised South Monaghan, and then
I was born in Niagara Falls.
So you had ties to Niagara Falls that dragged that kind of coaxed you back there.
Yeah, well, my mom lives there still, and part of the reason I wanted to go to Niagara College was so that I could live with her for free.
Yeah.
Instead of paying thousands of dollars per year for rent.
That's an amazing idea.
Yeah. She also bought the groceries, which was nice. As moms do.
As moms do. And then did you spend a lot of time out in Niagara Falls, like on the Dirty Strip?
The Dirty Strip.
I'm kidding. Clifton Hill, come on.
Yeah, that's about the cleanest strip around in Niagara Falls. Anyway, that's like the clean part of the city. If you get more than a couple blocks away from Clifton Hill, it's all downhill.
Yeah.
Pardon the pun. Unintentional.
That was pretty bad.
I've spent a few evenings hanging at the Boston Pizza on Clifton Hill because they've got the bowling alley in there and a video arcade and multiple bars set up inside the one building, and then they also have the Sky Wheel right beside it, so you can go up in the Ferris wheel and see all around you.
I used to love Niagara Falls when I was a kid, like going down, just seeing the falls, but then like the wax museums and the horror museums, and you get to go and see Hitler, and it's like the perfect Hitler sitting there. It's terrifying. Look at his cold black eyes. But I've been back. I was back recently for a bachelor party. And I'm not going to go into details because it was.
We don't need details.
No, it was pretty insane. But That's just it about that city. There's something about that city on like a very minute Las Vegas scale where people just go there to seek out depravity and just awful situations.
I like to refer to Niagara Falls as the crotch of Ontario tourism.
The crotch. Just like an unwashed, sweaty crotch. You know what? There are crotches out there that are pretty nice.
Oh yeah. No, that's true. I should clarify the unwashed crotch of Ontario tourism.
Because oh man, it is crazy there. But for kids, like, they love it.
Oh yeah. Take them to Great Wolf Lodge, let them go in the water park, and you may never see them again, but they'll be having fun.
Yeah, and like it'll be their first encounter swimming in urine.
Yeah. Oh, the water's creepily warm there.
Have you been there?
I went there for a weekend this past winter, yeah.
You know what? Everyone's telling me, oh, you got a kid now. You're going to have to go to Great Wolf Lodge. That's going to be the best place in the world. Is it really that good?
You know what? I mean, we had a lot of fun, and I don't have any kids yet.
Who'd you go with?
I went with my girlfriend, Anne.
You went with Anne Shabib,
yes,
right.
and her family, actually, like her brothers and sisters and their kids. So there were children with us.
Right.
And they seemed to have a great time. And we had a lot of fun as well. Like I mean, you probably would be looked at kind of strange if you were there without any kids.
Right.
But you would still be able to have a lot of fun. You can get into trouble because you pay for everything with your wristband. You unlock your doors to your room with your wristband, but you can also go to the bar and just buy like 7 drinks and just swipe your wristband.
That's amazing.
Okay. Amazing, and also probably a good way to spend a lot of money.
Oh, so you're charged.
Oh yeah, no, like
wristband.
it's not free. They charge it to your room, so.
I would be dead by the end of that.
But we spent part of it there just getting drunk in the arcade, which was actually a lot of fun.
Was it a good arcade? Because I've been in there just hurting.
It was pretty good. It doesn't really compare to the arcade that was in the basement of the Skylon Tower, if you've ever been there in Niagara. It was giant. I don't even know if it's still there, but I have fond memories of that place as a kid. But, I mean, for what it was a really good-sized arcade. We got lots of tickets. We bought some jumbo, oversized playing cards and a box of nerds. And it was great. Only spent like $30 on the cards. Probably could have got them cheaper at a store somewhere, but...
Yeah,
you wouldn't have the experience.
It's one of those things. Yeah, you have to have kids with you. So, like, if I was you and like I was there and I was there with someone else's kids, I'd be dragging those kids around so I could go on all the water slides and not look like some weirdo. But that's it's driving me crazy these days with just like men and kids. Like it's bizarre. Like for me, I walk my son around in a stroller. You know, and when you're younger, like girls are meant to push the strollers, and that's what they do, and boys like eat dirt or whatever it is. But I had this guy, one of the cab companies in Peterborough. He stops as I'm pushing my son into the Walmart to go buy something. He stops. He's like, "Hey, Mike." And I don't know who this guy is, right?
Sure, that happens all the time.
Yeah, it's every single day and everywhere I go. But he's like, "Hey, Mike," and I turn around. I'm like, "Hey, what's going on?" He's like, "Oh, did your wife stick you with the kid?" And I'm like, "No, I'm going to Walmart with my kid." And they're like, "Why you got a stroller?" I'm like, "To push the kid in the stroller." But like, it's all this weird sexism now.
I don't know. I mean, I obviously understand where you're coming from, and I get that people are kind of have that attitude about it. When I was a kid, I would push my little cousins around in their strollers, and I would like. I used to actually, honestly, it was kind of fun because I would just see how fast I could go and just like push really hard and then do like a sharp turn and then flip the. I mean,
all right, not with a baby.
No. There were.
Yeah, there were.
That only happened once. It only flipped once.
Oh, okay.
And my cousin was a toddler at the time and probably doesn't even remember. So it's all good. No, I would not do that with a newborn.
No.
I tend to be pretty respectful with people's newborn children if I can help it.
All right. Well, I'm still deciding whether or not you can touch mine.
I still have yet to meet your little boy.
You know what? With the way things are going nowadays, I mean, we had the Peterborough high five problem going on a while ago, and all I'm saying is that pretty soon it's going to get to the point where you are not even going to be able to make eye contact with my kid without me thinking you're weird. Did you see the way that Ken looked into my child's eyes? He's the pervert. He's disgusting.
I'll just keep my eyes just like slightly averted the whole time.
But isn't it?
He'll think that I'm lying to him the whole time. Like,
Right.
I can't trust a word this guy says. He's not even looking at me.
He's not even looking at me. Hey, who's this screw? So, anyways, so now you're working on The Wolf, and we're sisters,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Twinsies.
I don't know what that is though. Why they call it sister stations? I still don't know. But we're sister stations, Check TV and The Wolf and Cruise and whatnot. So you've been there for a while now, and how you liking it?
Oh, I'm thrilled to have found a job in radio at all.
Yeah.
And I'm sure like there's kids who are in broadcasting school today will be like, I don't know, how am I going to do it? I was like that when I was in school, you know? So I never thought I'd actually get a job, let alone one at the station I grew up listening to.
Which is pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. I have fond memories of being 9 years old and sending a joke to Jay Sharp. And he did it. He ran my joke for Jay's Joke of the Day.
That's fantastic.
He sent me a gift certificate to the Office Bar and Grill, which I obviously couldn't use.
Yeah.
And I don't know. That was like the start of my involvement with The Wolf, I guess. I mean, I always listened to them. And then, yeah, I just, having been a pest, I guess, I managed to get myself a job in there. And it's been close to 3 years now. And probably the best close to 3 years of my life.
That's honestly how I got my first gig in radio, was simply being a pest. I went to the program director, and I knocked on his, like, I somehow managed to get my way into the station. This was in Antigonish, Nova Scotia, a town of 5,000 people, right? And I think it was like 12,000 when the students were there. And so I go into the radio station, and like, oh yeah, the program director, he's just upstairs. Go on ahead. Like nothing, right? Because it's such a small town. I walk up, knock on his door. I'm like, I want your part-time job. And he was like, and I had to, it was like a month of like emails and phone calls and going in person and just aggravating this man until he finally put me on radio. But for the kids nowadays, it's even harder now because radio, it looks like to me, I don't know if you notice it, but it looks like to me that it's shrinking.
Yeah, well, yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, you always hear the people who, whenever, like, I mean, anytime I talk about my job with people, not anytime, but sometimes you get someone who just be like, oh, aren't you afraid that radio is a dying industry? And, you know, aren't you going to be out of a job pretty soon, you know? And it's, I mean, I can see why some people might think that, and maybe it is shrinking a little bit, but I don't know. I mean, if you're good at what you do and if you're persistent, and I mean, persistence is the big thing, it seems, because you can't just apply once and be like, oh, they'll remember me. You got to be getting at them, you know, like, you know, a couple times a week or something even, you know. You don't want to overdo it, but squeaky wheels get oiled, as they say, right?
But man, like, I just think, I don't know. Do you think radio will ever recover to the heyday that it once was? Remember those days with just like the wacky morning shows and everyone like drove like station convertibles and bombed around? Will it ever repeat? Could we just make it happen?
We could certainly try. I don't know where the money would come from necessarily, but
that's a problem. We need money. That is a big problem.
I think I probably missed the golden age of radio. I mean, I'm fairly young, and I've heard stories, but you know from what I understand, you know, TV when TV came along, that's when radio took its first big hit, and now that the internet is everything is on the internet, every radio station is on the internet. You know, I mean,
the internet is to TV what TV was to radio. The internet is now all encompassing. And it's I mean, we're here right now, and this is on the internet. Internet.
Going through some magical tubes.
Internet. I think every time you launch the internet, it should make that noise. Internet.
I miss the old dial-up tone myself.
I don't. That was an incredibly aggravating tune. I don't know I guess there was, if they put it towards like, you know, maybe a little more EDM, that would have been nice.
Well, there was, I don't know, I wonder if anyone actually in real life invented something that takes the dial-up sounds and changes it to music. Because there was an episode of The Simpsons, I believe, where Homer's half-brother Herb, he had the car company, which Homer bankrupted.
Right.
And then as he was trying to bounce back after being down on his luck for a while, he invented something that would attach to the modem and change the sounds to soothing muzak or whatever.
Muzak.
Muzak.
Those guys in the elevators, man, they make some great tunes. Absolutely great tunes.
I actually, now that you've got a newborn, you'd probably be interested in this. Have you heard of I can't remember what it's
Raymond
called
Scott's
now.
Soothing Sounds for Babies?
Well, no, that's not what I was thinking, but that
Okay.
sounds pretty good. I can't remember. It's like Sleep Well, Little Rockstar, or something like that. It's basically they've taken popular bands like rock bands, metal bands, that kind of stuff, and taken their songs and turned them into lullabies.
Really?
Yeah, so it's just like really slow, melodic, like music box.
Is Enter Sandman
versions.
one of them?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure there's a whole
definitely.
album of Metallica tunes.
Yeah.
They've got a whole bunch of different bands and just like their greatest hits turned into lullabies and that kind of stuff.
And this is the kind of stuff you excel at, and this is, I think, one of the reasons why we're friends outside of our work environment is that you know a lot about music, and you're
Little
also,
bit.
you know a lot about music. You love music, you blog about music, and you play music as well. I've been over to your house. You have multiple instruments, and you're good at playing them. Why the hell are you in a band?
That's a very good question. I mean, I like to play, and my roommate and I, we've jammed together for years. Like we were best friends that go back to high school, and we had bands in high school, and it just was weird. It's like something happened.
Sorry.
You breaking your chair?
No, I was trying to fix it, and then I
Oh.
made it bad. Yep. Sorry.
It was weird. Like we went through a little phase where we just we had a band together. We were out playing gigs and doing things, and then we just kind of stopped like practicing. We still were friends and hanging out, but we just didn't practice for a few months, and it just kind of fell apart. And then he went off to college, and
Yeah.
after that, priorities changed. My roommate still plays a lot of music, and I still play with him whenever I can.
Cool.
But cool, yes.
Yeah, and he puts some cool stuff out too. But I mean, if you were to start a band, I know it'd be pretty good because I know your influence, if I could guess, might come from maybe a little Queens of the Stone Age, maybe a little Ween.
Oh yes.
mixed in there.
Oh yes.
And that's right up my alley. And you work at the Wolf, and you would be able to just put yourself wherever you want, for the most part.
In theory.
In theory.
And I know a lot of musicians, so it wouldn't be difficult to get a group of people together probably and say, I really want to, make some music. I don't know. Maybe part of it's probably misplaced priorities. Part of it is also just
Working two jobs.
that too. Yeah.
Yeah, that hurts.
I mean, I find most of the time if I get a little bit of free time, and of course, well, as you know, being married, having a significant other is a significant time sink. So,
Well, you could put... No, she wouldn't be in the band.
she could sing.
Can she
shake
sing?
the tambourine maybe
Oh.
and do a little Linda McCartney action?
Oh, you know what? You know what Anne would be really good at would be in between sets warming up the crowd, because if anyone doesn't know Ken's girlfriend Anne Shabib, she's a funny lady. She just okay. Well, first of all, I mean, like you guys both come from Domino's Pizza on Lansdowne Street, which is awesome.
I was born there. Yeah.
You were born at Lansdowne Pizza or at Domino's Pizza, right out of the oven, and. But apparently this place is just a hotbed for entertainment because it's spat out Ken Elrick, but also Anne Shabib, who's been doing a little stand up now, right?
Yeah, she's been doing some stand up around town, and I think she's got another show upcoming. I don't know. There's always something in the works anyway.
Yeah, she's funny, and I remember seeing her at I think it was the Hootenanny or the Backyard Shindig or something at Spanky's, and she was going up in between bands and warming up the crowd, and she was very funny. So that would be something she would do. But I'd love to see you start making some music. But before we continue, I of course have to do a little bit of housekeeping as well.
Housekeeping?
So first of all, I'd like to start by talking about the wonderful Publican House Brewery, located on Charlotte Street here in Peterborough. They have like over 6 flavors of beer, and just recently they put in a couple more tanks and quadrupled their output. I know that already. This is like an actual Peterborough success story. They're in like 15 LCBOs around Ontario or more, probably more by now. And they've got this awesome like seasonal ale for the wintertime that like tastes like chocolate. It reminds me of Innocent Gun, which is you know what? Innocent Gun's one of those beers where I can only have like one at dinner. It's just too rich. This one's not quite as rich, so you can have a few more, which is nice. But I'll always got to thank them, and a big cheers to the Publican House folks. Century 21. I think you guys are still sponsors. We're not quite sure at this point because the podcast hasn't really started and blah, blah, blah. But anyways, I just bought a house in the summer. Worst experience ever. And I don't know if anyone could turn it around because I'm so crazy when it comes to this stuff. But Century 21 is like a Peterborough institution run by Carl Oak, who is an institution in himself. So these guys are great at doing that sort of thing. But also, more importantly, these guys I haven't mentioned yet, and they're on the back of this laptop. Kawartha TV Stereo. Scott Stewart. He may seem gruff at first when you meet him. Maybe he's a little gruff, gruff exterior, but really, I firmly believe deep down inside, Scott Stewart is like a puppy dog. That he's just a nice guy, and really cool dude. He sponsored the podcast. A lot of our equipment has come from them, and Kawartha TV Stereo, one of these places where you can go and pick up like a $40 tripod or like a $200 tripod or $400 tripod, and then they have these insane home theater with the giant massage chairs. Like I sneak in there at like 1:00 in the morning and just sit in their massage chairs and ruin them with sweat because they're just so amazing. So anyways, Kawartha TV Stereo, once again, thank you very much. And Mars Music, I don't know, Marcus, if you're still sponsoring us because this is the Mystery Podcast, which is going to be aired much later from the start date. So if you are, awesome. Century 21, if you are too, thank you very much for all of your help. If you're not, anyways, we're talking about music. I love Frank Zappa. Do you love Frank Zappa?
I do love Frank Zappa. I probably am not nearly as well versed in Frank Zappa's
I'm insane with
work as you are. I don't know if anyone would be necessarily.
Oh no, there are lots of people who know more about Frank than me. I just don't know them. But they're like you go on the message boards, you go online, and they pick apart like pieces of like things that he said back in 1971 at like before a Chicago show. I'm like, that's over the line. But he's my favorite guy. I love music. But I love the way that he kind of tackled things and did it on his own means. And I was listening to a podcast. It was Mark Maron with Tim and Eric. Do you like Tim and Eric?
Yeah, that's one of those things that I feel like I should have known about for a lot longer, but it was only earlier this year that I was actually introduced.
Really?
I mean, I had seen bits and pieces, but I sat down and watched a whole season with Anne because she really likes Tim and Eric.
Well, you have a lot of catching up to do.
I do.
I love Tim and Eric are awesome, but so they're talking with Mark Maron about Frank Zappa, and I guess one of the people had compared Tim and Eric to being like Frank Zappa or Ween, and Tim and Eric not Frank Zappa fans. Do not like Frank Zappa. They're like, well, we don't really appreciate that. It actually seemed like they disliked Frank Zappa, but they were honored to be compared to Ween. And I think I can draw the comparison. Like Tim and Eric, I don't know. Those guys have got to be on something. And Ween, we're definitely on something forever because they
on numerous things probably.
Like everything.
Yeah.
Those guys are like crazy drug heads. And Frank was not a drug head. Ween, more of a pop sound. I mean, they were off the wall and very strange, but not really too intricate with time signatures, and would always draw it back to like a more formulaic style. Well, Zappa was not like that, and it's kind of weird, I guess, with the snippets that Tim and Eric do. Yeah, I would associate them more with a Ween style than I would with a Frank Zappa style. What do you think? I honestly, this has been running through my head like. I just couldn't believe it. I'm like, Tim and Eric, I love these guys. How could they not like Frank?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, honestly, I don't think I could analyze it nearly as intricately as you just did.
Yeah.
Given my somewhat limited knowledge of Tim and Eric and their awesome show, which they did a great job on.
Great job.
So I'm just going to agree with you. Yeah.
All right,
well said.
Do you have any tattoos yet?
No.
Why not? Have you been thinking?
Absolutely. For the last couple of years, I've got a few designs in mind which I'd like to do. It's just prioritizing, and that's never been that high on the priority list as far as things to spend money on go.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I definitely have a few ideas of what I'd like to do, but I just haven't really got around to it yet.
Well, if you go to get a tattoo, can we come and shoot you getting a tattoo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I actually I want to do that too. I have a compass on my arm, and I'm getting something else done. Like I guess they call it like a half sleeve, but I wanted something to mix it in. I guess it's going to come down to here, and a lot of people don't know that I have tattoos. Well, when I first started at Checks and I had a beard, some lady called in screaming at one of our editors, saying, "Who let that beastly biker man come on television?" But I think the beard's acceptable now.
I hope so. I mean,
Your beard is. What do you put in that thing to make it grow so quick?
actually, to be honest with you, I think it grows kind of slow.
Oh, really?
Again, getting back to Reddit, I go on there and there's a subreddit dedicated just to beards. And these guys will post pictures like, oh, here's my 6-month beard, not much. And it'll be bigger than mine. And this has been almost a year I've been growing this.
Wow.
And
okay.
and so it just kind of, and actually I've kind of started to stay away from there just because it gives me beard envy. I don't really do anything special, which might be why it doesn't grow as fast as those guys. I hear that there's vitamins you can take that will make your hair grow faster. It'll also make your fingernails grow faster.
I don't want to do that.
No?
No. You know what? I keep my beard trim, and
You have to be on TV.
That's right. I don't need like my face just exploding with hair, and not just your face, because it's not like you're taking pills that are centralizing hair growth to just around my beard. It's gonna grow everywhere.
Oh yeah, and your fingernails too, man.
That's
weird. You're gonna have to clip them like 3 times a day.
That's what my wife like trying to breastfeed the child and everything she's doing for the child with her body. She's losing her hair. Her fingernails are getting weak. She should be eating these pills, is what I'm thinking.
The vitamins.
Or the
Yeah, I think it was just like, I don't even remember. I'm not gonna even try and guess which one, but because there's so many vitamins. But it was just like a vitamin D, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. All right.
Just go out in the sun for a bit.
Well, let's. We're gonna wrap it up in just a second here, but I want to talk about Peterborough a little bit more. For you, what keeps you in Peterborough? What do you love about this place?
Well, for one, I mean, probably the biggest thing that keeps me here. Well, I mean, there's the fact that I kind of grew up here and everything is familiar, and all my friends are here, and some of my family too. You know, that kind of stuff. The fact that I have a job in Peterborough, which
is yeah.
I don't want to say that, like, you know, that's not that easy to do, but there are lots of people out of work in our city.
Yep.
So, I mean, I'm pretty lucky to have that, you know. And I mean, so, yeah, I mean, that is probably a big thing that keeps me here, having a girlfriend that goes to school, you know, that kind of stuff. But, I mean, you know, even if it weren't for all that, even if I wasn't working in radio here, I would love to live in Peterborough, I think, just because... I don't know. It's comfortable. It's just nice. I don't know. You get the odd person who might be an unsavory character, if you will.
Well, you can't get those.
They're everywhere.
Yeah. What are you gonna do?
And they're in considerably smaller concentration here than other places I've been.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah.
So, no, I don't know. I mean. It's funny because, like, with the things that have been happening recently, the whole high-fiving thing, Donald Fraser actually wrote a post on Facebook that was talking about that and how national media outlets always kind of tend to portray Peterborough in a bit of a negative light. You know, just like they... And I mean, it's not maybe not on purpose, but maybe at the same time, maybe they do think we're all just a bunch of hate air buds or whatever, you know?
Yeah. But you know what? You know what? And this is selfish for me, I know, because we don't need national media saying those things if we want to attract industry here and we want to continue to grow and be successful and recover. But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, go ahead, say that. Keep everyone out of here because I don't want it to grow. I want it to stay this wonderful little nook that it is. It's an 80,000 person nook, but the thing is, I got a 5-minute drive to work every day. So does pretty much everyone else here.
Yeah,
and you just get to know people, and everywhere you go, you can't walk half an hour downtown without running into someone you know. Which
Absolutely.
It is a really cool thing about this place. But the great thing is that you can escape to lakes, to rivers. I've got you know me, I'm really big into canoe tripping. Like, you live in cottage country. You live where people in Toronto are like, oh, let's go to the cottage or go to house number 2, and they go up to Peterborough and like, oh, this is great. They have a Costco, and like, you know what I mean. But like, we live here. We live where you want to escape to, bud. So you can sit there and you can make fun of us for the high five. When Leaside, down in Leaside in Toronto, they stopped the crossing guard from dancing. Do you ever hear about that? The dancing crossing guard?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they banned her from dancing. So no dancing, no high fives. Don't look the kids in the eyes. Don't touch the kids. This is the thing I don't understand. Don't touch the kids. What happens to the kids walking into traffic? He's about to get smoked by a car. Oh, can't touch him. No. You're going to grab the kid and push him back, and then the kid's going to be like, he hurt me when he grabbed me, and then you're going to go in jail
you're gonna lose
for
your
saving
job,
his life. But anyways, I digress, and I just wanted to thank you for coming by and helping with the beta test of the mystery episode of PTBOCanada Live with Mike Judson and Ken Elrick II.
Well, thank you for thinking of me and asking me to be involved. It's a great pleasure. I mean, you and I don't get to necessarily work together very often, if at all. So it's always a great pleasure to actually see each other.
At all.
Yeah, actually, you know what? We don't even get to work together or hang out that often.
I know.
I mean, we're both so busy with work. Now you've got the young one, so that takes up, I can't imagine how much of your time. So
it's unbelievable. But either way, I also wanted to bring up that we did, in fact, have an on-air session at Bob FM.
Yeah, we talked about Burton Cummings, the Winnipeg Warbler.
Yes, that's right.
And I mentioned somehow about how I thought it might have been Timu Solane or something. I don't know. We factored in the Winnipeg Jets somehow, but yeah.
It was something along those lines. And then we've done some stuff between Checks and the Wolf and stuff. I'm sure we'll do lots more. And you know what? By the time this thing actually airs, which I don't actually know when it was, you might have been on the podcast already.
That's true. Could happen. I'll be the drunk guy in the background, just like, hey, I just got off work.
And I think we're going to go see David Wilcox now.
Yeah, might as well.
All right.
I got the tickets.
David Wilcox. Bye for now.
Let's go do the Bearcat.
Bearcat. I'm a bad apple.